July has been a pretty sweet month for gacha games. We got to play Devil May Cry Peak of Combat, which was admittedly kind of a letdown for me as a Devil May Cry fan. Kemono Friends, which I've heard is actually better than people initially thought it was going to be. Snowbreak, which is a gacha game that I have been eagerly anticipating ever since it was announced like a year or two ago. Honestly, you should check out last month's video to see what came out so you can keep up to date. But August looks even better than July with some releases I had no idea were planned as soon as they are. And did you know that I actually stream these games every weekend over on Twitch? You should join me there today and tomorrow as well. With this in mind, if you enjoy staying up to date with what's currently releasing, and more specifically this series, make sure to like this video, leave a comment telling me what gacha game you are most looking forward to, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell notification. Oh, and make sure to check out the last episode in this series at the end of this video in case you missed something. Now let's go ahead and see if we can't find a gacha game for you to waste the next month or so in. Millennium Tour Elf is an anime RPG with a very large focus on elves. I mean, like, let's be honest here, it is literally in the title. I've done a video on this game in the past. I think it was approximately like 4 months ago. Back in March, the devs held a closed beta test with limited slots and have been pretty silent since then, which is never a good sign, admittedly. Until earlier this week, where they confirmed that the game will be entering open beta testing on August 10th, with pre-registration actually already open on the Chinese App Store. No global release has been confirmed yet, but that has never stopped us from participating in non-global beta tests, non-global alpha tests, or non-global releases in the past. From the gameplay that I saw in the trailer a few months ago, it looked like it had the potential to be a fun game. If you want my full thoughts on it, I do have a link to the video where I covered it in the description in the pinned comment below. Otherwise, I might stream the game during open beta, I don't know. Now this one I didn't even know existed until like last month when someone DM'd me the trailer for the open beta test that was going live at the time. And to my surprise, it turns out that the open beta was actually in preparation for the full launch, which is happening on August 8th. Dawnlands is an open-world survival crafting MMORPG set in a fantasy world. Yes, it is an open-world survival crafting game. I know they're a dime a dozen these days, and admittedly not often the highest quality in terms of game. But you know what? This one might be different. Might, being the key word here. This game is bright, it's vibrant, and honestly, it feels a lot like Craftopia if you've ever played that on a larger scale, but with admittedly much worse gameplay. It utilizes an action combat system. It has players forage for resources, surviving a dangerous world with other players, the other players being what makes the world dangerous, building towns, rebuilding towns after the other players destroy your town, quitting and then re-rolling onto new servers that aren't overrun with toxic PvPers, ruining the experience for everyone else. Dawnlands is launching fully cross-platform between PC and mobile devices, and given the gameplay during the test phase, I feel like this is far from ready. Unless they've touched it up significantly, which I doubt. Nevertheless, it could still be a fun little side game if you're into, you know, survival games, or logging out and logging back into everything that you've accomplished completely destroyed. Before we go any further into the remainder of what we have to look forward to, let me take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon. You guys allow for me to continue to do regular videos like this every single day, and I cannot express how much I appreciate that. Black Moon is a fast-paced side-scrolling action RPG with a focus on combos. The game is an entirely new intellectual property with a much darker, grittier setting than your typical gacha games. Not a whole lot has been revealed about the game, yet they have just opened pre-registration for players ahead of their upcoming test phase. When specifically is currently unconfirmed, but it is speculated that the game will be available to test in some form either this or next month, or maybe, I don't know, they'll go silent after their reveal. I guess we'll see shortly. Either way, I am always a fan of controlling my own character in combat, so this looks kind of promising to me. All right, if you guys don't know what DanMachi is, if you guys are unaware of what is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon is, I don't even know you anymore. But with that in mind, if you genuinely do not know what it is, then I guess you have a whole weekend to binge the anime, or several weekends actually, as the studio behind the upcoming DanMachi Battle Chronicle game, abbreviated as DanCro, for some reason, is going to be launching globally onto PC, Android, and iOS devices on August 24th. Dawnlands is an action RPG that has players occupy the world of the anime, reliving the adventures of Belle, although with a little bit more input from you or me personally, and more waifus, tons of additional waifus, which is a bonus. And finally, Perfect World Games announced back in June that they would be taking publishing rights away from Level Infinite. Level Infinite, of course, being the studio that has been publishing Tower Fantasy ever since its release in 2022. And they've decided that they're going to be publishing the game themselves onto the PS4 and PS5 on August 8th. This has a lot of players somewhat concerned, as while the game itself is a lot of fun, there will be no cross-platform functionality present, meaning that to play on console, you need to start a brand new account entirely, and all progress you have will thus be lost. This is an easy way to secure a new paying player base in the form of PlayStation players on the PlayStation Network, and Perfect World Games are admittedly very smart for making this move. But it is also at the expense of the game in its current form, and could fracture the community more than it already is. If crossplay were enabled and functional, new PlayStation players would actually bolster the current player base and earnings rather than disconnecting them altogether. Despite this, there are pre-order packages available on the PlayStation Store currently, ranging from $10 to $100. How they think they can charge these prices is honestly beyond me. And that is everything. All the Gacha games slated to release either fully or into some form of test phase this month, at least that I'm aware of. I probably missed one or two, it's bound to happen with more obscure titles. And with the rate that new Gacha games are announced and released, it's all but guaranteed. Nevertheless, these are the main games that I have been following. Again, I urge you to check out the previous month's video. I discussed the Gacha games that released: King Arthur Legends Rise, Devil May Cry Peak of Combat, Snowbreak, Kemono Friends, Grand Cross Age of Titans. These games all launched in the last month, so you're probably going to have your hands full for the next few weeks if you haven't already. These will no doubt make the wait for future games a little bit more bearable. I do plan on doing dedicated videos on each and every one of these games as they become available, and have several videos coming in the next couple weeks on beta tests that I've been a part of that you perhaps weren't, so keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, if none of these games look like something that you would be interested in, I urge you to then check out one of these two videos on screen right now. I'm sure you'll find something that you enjoy. Trust me, we got a promising looking year coming.